talk to us about these episodic mobility problems. However, it's worth pointing out that as we saw on Tuesday, the Queen has been as determined as she has always been throughout her 70-year reign to carry out the duties that she feels that she is able to undertake. The team around her have been making sure that they facilitate that. And that is why, for her, it was so important that she saw her 14th outgoing Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, at Balmoral on Tuesday, and then also appointed her 15th Prime Minister, Liz Truss.
And just thinking, Rhiannon, if we think back to what happened last week when we were all looking ahead to the announcement of the new Prime Minister, that it was decided by the royal family, by Buckingham Palace, last week that there was a decision made that the new Prime Minister would be travelling to Balmoral, whereas what has happened up to now has been very much that the royal family have on the day said whether the Queen's mobility is good enough for her to carry out engagements or meet people. So it perhaps was clear last week that her mobility was not good over a period of time, if they were able to perhaps look ahead to the fact that the following week she would not be really in a position to travel down to London to carry out this duty.
I have to slightly disagree, because that was not the messaging that we were hearing from the palace. What they were saying was that because she is suffering from these episodic mobility problems, they didn't want to say that she was definitely coming down to London and then on Tuesday morning have to change the plans. And in essence, they didn't want to do that because ultimately the Queen, yes, she's head of state, but she wasn't the only important person on that day. And so everything from the palace, as in what they were telling us, was that they wanted to make sure that firm plans were in place so that everybody knew what they were doing on Tuesday and there didn't have to be any last minute change of plans. Of course, it was, I think, still a shift. We had heard earlier in the summer that actually the Queen was more than happy to come down to London and potentially carry out that appointment, if not at Buckingham Palace, then at Windsor, which we know that she prefers and she is much more comfortable there. But I think in the end, it was probably down to that medical advice. And as we have spoken about, ever since we had this news announced, nearly almost 2 hours ago now, the medical team around her will have been very important over the last 12 months in terms of giving her guidance. If anyone's got anyone who's in their 90s in their family, you can't necessarily tell a 90-year-old woman what she should be doing, but certainly giving her that guidance of what was sensible. And I think we have definitely seen that happening. But on the other hand, the Queen has undoubtedly